I got a daughter, Jessie Gordon. She was born in 1994. I was managing a dairy farm at the time, and the back of Tikawara, and really excited with the news that I was going to become a father. And my wife and I went to our local GP, and at 18 weeks for the first scan, we got called back from the GP and asked to go to Green Lane Hospital because the scan didn't show up very well, is what we were told. So we didn't think anything of it. In fact, the scanner that they used at the GP's office was exactly the same one we used on the cows on the farm. So I wasn't shocked at all by that. So we took off to Green Lane Hospital, and it was there that the news was broken to us that the child that my wife was carrying had a congenital heart defect, and they sat us in a room, explained to us that the defect that the child has is not fixable, that there is a risk that the child might not make full term. If it did make full term, maybe there was a risk, obviously, at birth, and if the child was to make it through the birth, life expectancy would maybe be teenage years. At that point, shock. They also gave us the option at that point also, we know it's late in the pregnancy, but abortion was still an option. And at that point my wife took her out of the room, and I said, I'll be back, I'll open the car for her and I'll come back and find out what we got to do from here. All the way down to the car, she was obviously in tears, and both of us quite frightened about the whole deal. She said, I can feel the baby moving, we can't kill it. I said, no, I understand that, that's not an option. So I went back up and I asked them, I said, where do we go from here, because abortion's not an option. They said, you need to go to your GP every week, and every fortnight come back here. So the roller coaster began at that point. So right through to the age, Jessie got out of, she had her first major, she had a first operation. She was at 3 days old. When she was born, we had the parents there and some friends just in case. My wife got sent across to Ward 9, and Jessie was sent to Skiboo and then came across to Ward 9 afterwards. At 3 days old, she had her first catheter, multiple trips from the farm to the hospital. She got out of intensive care after her first major operation at the age of 1 on her first birthday, wheeled from down the Ward 9 with balloons and streamers down the ward. It was fantastic, and in her room. And we were then sent back to the farm. The trips from the farm in Tikawara to Auckland were a huge number of them. Colds and flus and anything would kick Jessie for sick, so she was hospitalised a lot. A bit of a game changer, we decided that we'd walk away from the farm and move to Auckland, and just to be closer to the hospital. Jessie began to deteriorate a little bit. They explained to us that they wanted to work on a bigger heart, so we knew that Jessie was going to need to deteriorate for a little bit longer before they could do the operation. And at the age of 5, Jessie got her Fontan. One of the toughest stages for my wife and myself, I guess, was the passing over of the child for surgery. At her first operation, Jessie didn't have the SIP very well, so she didn't sleep, and I was holding her in my arms when they came to pick her up, and I'd already mentioned to my wife that it's really important that Jessie doesn't see us with fear in our eyes and crying and scared before she goes into the operating room. So when I had to pass Jessie across to the lady in the gown green gown. Jessie was looking over her shoulder as she walked away, and her arms out in tears, and I'm blowing her kisses and pulling faces. And, my wife had to duck around the corner because she just collapsed. I followed her all the way through to the operating room, and then as they shut the door, I collapsed. And my wife and I then spent the next day, 8 hours just down the road. Couldn't wait in the hospital. Similar affair for her fifth, at the age of 5 with her operation there. Again, we didn't want her seeing fear in our eyes. Jessie was given an opportunity at the age of 5, just before the operation. We had a date for admission, and I asked Jessie 3 things you want to do before your op. If we can do them, we'll do them. And she said, I want to go up the Sky Tower. Yep, I can do that one. She said, I want to go on a plane. I want to fly in a plane. I said, yep, I can do that one. And it's January, She said, I want to see snow. So snow's going to be a toughie. So we went to Ardmore and went on the Warbird and flew around Auckland. Did the scenic flight. It was incredible. She had a great time. We went to Kelly Talton's penguin enclosure. It's the closest place I could get snow, and she thoroughly enjoyed that. And then the day that she was to be admitted, we went up to the Sky Tower, and we drove into the city. It was an overcast, drizzly, rainy day, and we got to the bottom. Our parents were there, and Jessie's grandparents, and we got to go upstairs to the lookout. The lady said, don't waste your money, it's a whiteout, you won't see anything. I said, Jessie wants to go up the top, we're going up the top. So we all went up. Amazing. We weren't there for very long, walked over to the glass and jumping on the glass. And the clouds just opened, and slowly the city was being revealed to us, and then the harbour, and then Rangitoto, and it opened blue skies. It was incredible. We had lunch there, and then when we went down, we drove out of the car park at Sky City, and it was drizzling again. The clouds had closed back up, and we took off to Starship Hospital for Jessie's next major operation. She, after that operation, was pink. It's always tough seeing your child in intensive care. I had a friend of mine, Grant Buchanan. He's a Tai Chi Qigong teacher. He was involved from Jessie at the age of 1, and after her first operation, he turned up, and there was a lady in there helping Jessie, trying to remove a bit of the fluid on her lungs, a physio. And Grant stepped in and he said, elbow circles. He said, there's a movement called breath of the heart. And he did these little wee elbows, gently held Jessie's elbows and did these little circles. She started coughing. And from that day on, Jessie's been doing Qigong and Tai Chi. She still does. And right through, he turned up. Every time she was in hospital, he came up every day, wouldn't take any money. And he's been a huge part of our life ever since. I joined his, when we moved to Auckland, I joined his school so I could learn and I could help teach Jessie. When we'd walk to school in the morning, Jess would stop at each of the road crossings and do her breathing exercises. So I had to copy what breathing exercise she wanted to do. And we certainly got funny looks from people driving past in the cars, but she loved it. She asked me if I could come and watch her at athletics when she was at primary school, and I was quite keen to. Took some time off work and went to the athletics day, and I've got glasses. I'm looking, trying to figure out which one is Jessie in the crowd of kids, and it was her arms. I saw her arms doing this, so I knew I could pick her out, and there was a game changer also when the time came when Jessie got a bit older. Instead of the questions at the hospital coming to us, they started being directed Jessie. So Carol and I, we stepped back a bit listening to what Jessie had to say about what's going on at school and so on. They asked Jessie, what sort of things do you do at school with regard to physical exercise? Are you involved with any of the activities at school? And Jessie had a big grin on her face and she said, I'm in the school hockey team. I made it into the school team for the cross country. I do martial arts, and I love swimming. And she's always been really busy and active. She's since, all these notes are just a waste of time. Jessie has been I run a martial arts school, Healing Arts Kung Fu it's called, and Jessie's played a big role in that school. I do a lot of work with at-risk youth, and Jessie has an amazing connection with particularly the young girls that come into the school, and she's actively involved in the school regularly and helping some of these young kids. She got her first degree black belt in Kung Fu in 2008. She then got a second degree black belt in 2011. Her first degree black belt in Tai Chi in 2013. She got her Bachelor in Nursing in 2016, this year. She's got an advanced level 2 instructor title in our school. She's been actively involved at Heart Children camps. She is a passionate, driven girl with a heart of gold, and incredibly proud of her. Really grateful to Heart Children New Zealand and all the people involved with my family and Jessie's well-being, and it's been a privilege talking to you. Thank you.